And we are live. Hello, and welcome to another online event of Green Tech Southwest. We are back in the safety behind our screens. I say safety just because if you were at our last event, our hybrid in person, or watched the recording, you will have seen that I brained myself on the screens about 4 or 5 times. So hopefully less damage to myself can be done from my desk. But yes, it's good to have you all here. Really looking forward to today's event, trying to remember how we do online events. Even though we've done a million of them, it's weird how quickly these things leave your brain. But yeah, so as usual, welcome to everyone from where you're sort of joining us from. It'd be great to know where you're joining us from as we're back online. We know that sometimes we get joined from different continents, different countries and different places in the UK. So it'd be great if we can get a bit of a lively chat going and just introduce yourself. What brings you here? Where are you joining from? What do you do? Any of that is all good. I'm Ellen. I am one of the co-founders. You'll be introduced to the other co-founders later down the line, but just this is me. Hi, Sammy. Thanks for introducing yourself. Coming from Bristol. Amazing. It's your first online event. I'm really glad to hear that. Hopefully we deliver. But it's great to have you here. So as just going to run through the format as, yes, like you said, we have some newcomers, some first time attendees. So yeah, we try to get started around, we're actually very prompt. We'll get started at 12:30. We'll introduce ourselves a little bit and introduce the meetup and the community and just what we're all about. You'll have the opportunity to get involved as our community as well. So we'd like to do something called 60-second intros. It's just, we call it a humble brag, an opportunity for you to showcase what you're doing. It can be a shout out if you're working on a green project or sustainable project, or if you know something or know of something that you think the community can benefit from. Just let us know. We'll invite you up on screen. We'll give you a strict 60 seconds just basically get what you want to say out there. And then what I do is I get in touch and I make sure that we get you to share your contact details in the group afterwards, and we make sure that people can get in touch with you if it's a call for help or whatever. Call for help, so it's a bit dramatic, but you know what I mean. You know, if you need some support on a project, and we'll be on our website as well with contact details. So speaking of our website, Hannah, our eco warrior, eco developer, has done an amazing job with our website, which is where all events, all the information from the events, as well as a recording from the talk, will be shared with speaker slides and any sort of useful links and resources shared. So I'll be able to post that this evening and let you all know when it's up so you can revisit anything from today's talk. Looking to get started in about 4 minutes. I'm here to sort of make sure people are getting settled, make sure you check your sound. Have you got your lunch? Have you got a cup of tea? Might be a bit too hot for a cup of tea, actually, even though it is cooling down. Not sure I can brave that just yet. What we do as well is we have polls that go up throughout the talk. They'll show up on either the right or left hand bottom side of your screen, depending on what browser you use. Feel free to engage with those. The answers will be shared on our website as well, just for anyone who's interested. And also there will be a Q&A session at the end of the talk as well, which gives you an opportunity to ask the speakers any questions from the talk they've done today. So there is an ask a question section as well down the bottom. It'd be really great if you could put them there, just because it helps us keep track and make sure that we can make sure that your questions get asked. And it also gives you the opportunity to upvote questions that you think are interesting, just in case we run out of time, make sure basically the most keen questions get asked. But we will be trawling the comment section, obviously, just in case anything's there, but that'd be a great help to us. And of course, use the comment section as much as possible. We always say we love a chatty feed. It's great to see so many of you be so interactive, sharing your resources, sharing your thoughts. And especially when people watch the talk back, it's really great to see. It's definitely my favorite part, just to see the people's comments rolling through as the talk goes on. That's really great. So don't be shy. And then we'll mention some events that are coming up over the next sort of coming weeks. Hannah will cover that sort of at the end of the talk. But I did just want to highlight for Bristolians or Southwestians, if you're willing to make the travel, the M-Shed has got a climate action exhibition on at the moment called Think Global, Act Bristol. Myself and Mike contributed to it as part of Green Tech Southwest, which is really exciting. And yeah, it's a really great exhibition. It's on till October. I'll share a link in the comments now. But yeah, if anyone's interested, especially sort of following the week we've had weather-wise, I imagine it's on the forefront of a lot of people's minds. So yeah, it's just quite a cool, interesting exhibition centering Bristol in as a sort of climate forward city, basically. So yeah, definitely check that out if you're in the area. So yes, we'll be getting started in about 2 minutes. Really looking forward to this talk. Yeah, there's not much out there information wise on sort of small load power or plug load power. So yeah, just reckon it should be a really good talk. And yeah, just really obviously very topical with everything that's going on. Just getting behind businesses that are doing amazing work, sort of targeting wasted energy. So yeah, it should be really good. And as I said, we'll be doing the follow-up towards the end, so you'll be able to view this talk back or share it with your network if you think it might be interesting for other people. And also, like I said, you'll be able to see speaker slides and any sort of the links to resources, and if any sort of 60-second intros will all be shared there. So I'll send that round on Meetup later to let you know that it has been uploaded. Yes, and as Hannah just said, really keen to get people introducing themselves, and here she is, as if she knew.
Don't let me stop you though, Ellen.
Oh, right, sorry.
We've still got a couple of a minute or so to go. We've just been super organised.
Sorry, got stuck in my tracks there. So yes, I'm being flanked by my other co-founders now, so I'll let them do the talking.
Great. Thanks, Ellen. Thanks as always for breaking the tumbleweed and giving people a little insight into what we're about and what we've got going on. So I guess it is exactly past. We'd love to hear from those of you that have joined us. We can see a good number of you are here listening live to this. So please let us know that you're out there. It's really, really nice for us to hear from you in the chat feed. So, introduce yourselves, let us know how you're doing, what you're working on and whereabouts you are, any of the above, none of the above, or just give us an emoji and let us know that you're there. Yeah, a wave is always good. I will bring up some slides right now. And here we go. And let's get the show on the road officially. So welcome everyone to Green Tech Southwest. It is fantastic that you've all joined us today. We hope that wherever you are, you're keeping appropriately cool or appropriately warm, depending on what part of the world you join us from today. We are very proud and grateful to our sponsors, AdLib, Ecology and Noughts and Ones. I know some of the AdLib crew are here today. Thank you so much for your continued support of our efforts. Myself, Mike and Ellen run these as volunteers. Our main aim and goal is to produce and create a lovely community. So thank you to all of you for coming here today and being part of that community. If you're on socials, we'll be doing lots of live tweeting throughout the event using greentech_swest. And a big shout out to the fantastic Joe, who always does such an amazing job of live tweeting for us behind the scenes. We are ever grateful to you, Joe. Thank you for your amazing ability to capture complex topics in a few very succinct and very catchy tweets. So thanks as always. We're also on LinkedIn, and in between meetups, we do a lot of interesting, well, we think interesting post sharing and information sharing on both of those channels on Twitter and LinkedIn. So do follow us there. Do tag us on things there if you want to get the word out about stuff. We're always happy to share the cool things that people in our community are up to, or maybe are asking for help with. Okay, so I sort of, this is us. Hello, We're your co-founders. We're the three lovely faces on the screen right now. So that's us. And I already gave a shout out to Joe. We are now increasingly flanked by a growing band of volunteers. Andrew, Sam and Tony were kind enough to give us a significant amount of help at our last hybrid event. And Asan has been doing some fantastic work behind the scenes to help us rebrand, which is incredibly exciting. Asan will also be giving us a talk for us in October in our design-themed event. And Joe, as I mentioned, is busy behind the scenes there, live tweeting for us at all of our events. So thank you to our volunteers. Thank you so much for giving your time and energy to support us and our fantastic community. I gave a sort of brief mention already as to what our community is around. We are basically here to create a space to share insight and generate discussion. And we're here to do that specifically around how technology relates to the environment, both positively and negatively. So we're not here just to go, technology is going to save us. We're here to hopefully get everyone understanding the pros and cons of different types of technology. And also the thing that we love to do the most is showcase different approaches and different people using tech in different ways. And of course, Dan and Josh, who are going to be talking shortly, are such people doing some really, really interesting things with tech. We don't have many rules at Green Tech Southwest. The only rule that we have really is be kind to each other. People are very passionate about tech and very passionate about the climate. And all that we ask is that you always remain kind and constructive in any feedback or any conversation or discussion that you have around green tech issues. Everyone comes from different viewpoints, everyone will come from different contexts. So we've never had it yet, but we just always put that out there as a reminder just to be kind and lovely to each other. Is it Wayne's World where they're like, be awesome dude or something? I don't know. Maybe it's not Wayne's World. Maybe I'm just making a prat of myself. Let's move on. And so we've posted a link to our constitution and code of conduct in the, yes, Bill and Ted. Thank you. Thank you. It wasn't Wayne's World. Thanks, Martin and Ellen, I guess that was, just scraping me out of getting my 90s cultural references completely wrong. Awesome. So as I mentioned, our code of conduct and our constitution have been linked to in the comments if you're interested in viewing such a thing. Okay. Ellen gave a shout out at the beginning. We have a website. It's all right. It does the job, but the main thing that it's absolutely awesome at doing is providing a home for all of our past speaker content. And what we're on, like Meetup 28 now, I think. That right? Yeah, okay, I'm getting the numbers right. Fantastic. We're on Meetup 28. We have showcased a vast array of interesting, amazing people doing fantastic things. So please poke through our archives. All our talks are available to watch online. And so now we pass over to you, our fantastic community, for our open session slot, our community 60-second intros. If you've never heard of community 60-second intros before, the concept is quite straightforward. We give you 60 seconds to come on screen and share something. It could either be a simple introduction of yourself, like, hello folks, this is me, this is what I do, nice to meet you. It might be that you want to talk more about a project or an initiative that you're working on. It might be that you want for help for something. And we have had people come on before for help. And we have had an incredible response from our community, providing advice and guidance in return. Or maybe you simply want to share something that you've been nerding out over recently and you think is super cool and you think other people in the community might enjoy too. So we're kind of quite cool with you using these slots however you want. I think in Ellen's words, you may come on the screen and do a humble brag. That is fine with us. We celebrate those things. We celebrate all things Green Tech Southwest here. So if you are feeling chatty and you fancy coming on screen, let us know in the comments and we will send you an invite that will pop up on your screen and we will give you the floor for 60 seconds. Neil, fantastic. I'm so glad that you're here today. Hello, Neil. You've put your hand right up there. So Neil, hopefully we'll be sending you an invite now and we'll get you on the screen. And then Tim, you will be next up after Neil. Hello, Neil.
Hello. How's it going?
Hi. Good. How are you today?
Good, thank you very much.
Good. Is that a real background?
Yeah.
It is?
Yeah.
I'm very convinced. It's very tropical. Anyway, I don't want to cut into your 60 seconds in any way, shape or form. Neil, I know you're up to some incredible stuff at the moment, so please, the floor is yours. Tell us what you've got going on.
So one of the things that I'm doing, working with, is with the BEMA Sustainability Council. So BEMA is a sort of membership organisation for UK agencies, basically, and I co-chair the Sustainability Council there, and we've been putting a few things out recently, so I'm just going to paste in some links. The first one is an open letter to the government, basically asking for a sort of green tax benefit, and the idea being that if companies do a number of things which are good, which are related to being good to the planet, then there could be a possibility of sort of combining those things under a sort of green tax benefit, much in the same way that many organisations in the UK take advantage of the sort of research and development tax break that's available. So that's one thing that came from, and this is the second thing that might be of use. That came from thinking about employee benefits that are planet focused, and that second link is a little blog that I've written, which just lists out all of the things all of the ones that I know of that are planet focused employee benefits, right from pension schemes to electric vehicle schemes to investing in wind farms, those kinds of things. So these are things that right now employers can roll out and give their employees access to, and most of them are pretty low barrier to entry, to be honest. There's a lot of really impactful things there that don't actually have a very big financial output or sort of change that needs to go behind them. So yeah, if you're an employee or you're an employer, then definitely please have a look at this list and see what you can roll out, and please sign that open letter as well. That'd be much appreciated.
Neil, fantastic. Thank you so much. I love what you work on in the Sustainability Council, and I'm so glad that you've been able to come along today and share that with the community. So thank you. I guess the other ask that we have of our community with regards to these two things that Neil has shared is please share them on. If one person shares things to 3 other people, we can get around the whole country super quick. So please do use your networks and spread the word about these awesome initiatives. All right, Neil, we're going to say goodbye to you. Thank you so much, Neil. And Tim, welcome to Green Tech Southwest.
Thank you very much.
So I think we have a little bit of a feedback issue. I don't suppose you have any headphones handy? Oh, yeah, I love that. Off he goes. It's nearly always the case, isn't it? Without headphones, it all goes a bit squonky. There we go. Look, the minute the headphones go in, it all stops. It's fantastic. Tim, do you want to say something so we can hear you?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can. Fantastic. Tim, the floor is yours. 60 seconds for you, my friend.
Thank you. So I'm designing products to get people faster on-site help in an emergency. So whether your vehicle is being stolen, your home is being broken into, I'm going to have to take this off because I can hear myself, or you're suffering a medical emergency, or you've fallen over at home. And I am looking to design a range of products, get them manufactured, but also my interest in this webinar particularly is that I'm looking to create net zero, ethical, sustainable and transparent supply chain. And I've also, in a sideline, as if that wasn't enough, I'm looking to restart up the Circular Economy Bristol group. And I've got a society which is mainly London focused, but it's about 250 people worldwide. And their goal is Product Society Fit. And it's all about people who are creating products that will benefit society, the environment, people, etc. So I can reshare my LinkedIn details in the chat. And if anyone is interested in any of that, then they can get in touch.
Fantastic, Tim. Thank you so much. It sounds absolutely fascinating what you're up to, and a circular economy group in the region would be absolutely great. So please share all your links in the comments, and if there's anything we can do, Green Tech Southwest, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We have a whole community of people who are very knowledgeable and kind as well.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Tim, thank you so much for joining us. So we have Andrew, who is willing to come and do a 60-second slot. And then we'll see how we're doing for time. I reckon after Andrew, there's a good possibility we could fit one more person in. So there is another slot up for grabs. But for now, Andrew, hello, how are you?
Hello, testing. All good?
Good. Right, over to you. You know the drill.
Hi, half plug for me, half plug for this awesome community. Cannot recommend volunteering with this group enough. It's been an absolute joy to get energized by how much passion these three bring to this community and the problems they're trying to solve. So yeah, if you want to help them take it farther, join up. It is rocket fuel for any of us who really care about advancing green tech and the impact it can have. That plug aside, I am making video games about climate action, which is apparently not a sentence that is said very often. So anyone who's interested in, knows any game developers, curious about what we're doing, or just has a video game idea they'd love to see about ecology or ecosystems or environmentalism or sustainability, any of those things, feel free to hit me up. I'll post my LinkedIn in the chat, and I've already put the website up there, so feel free to check it out. That's it.
Bloody Helen, you were like right on the nose. I don't know if you can see that, but look at that. That is
I'm so practiced now.
Yeah, that is an impeccable 60 seconds. So well done, Andrew. Thank you. And thank you for your kind words as well about your experiences with us. Fantastic. Andrew, we will see you again soon. Thank you very much. All right. So I didn't see anyone else put their hands up for a 60-second slot. I am going to sort of give 5 more seconds in case anybody is just plucking up the courage, because we do love to hear from our members. It makes it such a more engaging session when we hear from you. All right, but we're not hearing from anyone else, so we will close. Oh, Tom. All right, go on then. You got in there just just as the doors were closing. That was like a full-on Indiana Jones slide under the closing door. Grabbed your hat and you're in. So, Tom, we'll be sending you an invitation now to come on screen. We will ask you to be super succinct. Hello, Tom. Welcome. Over to you, my friend. 60 seconds, off you go.
Very quickly, I'm working on a project called Skills for Clean Growth. We're supporting SMEs in the West of England region, so the West of England LEP area, to gain skills around sustainability. It's a fully funded project based on some European funding, so we've got some really good workshops coming up. If anyone's interested in getting support, please just get in contact with me. I'll post my LinkedIn post in the chat. We're working with really interesting consultants as well as academics, so some really relevant content. There you go, double quick.
Tom, a master, thank you so much. And that sounds absolutely fascinating what you're doing. So you'll, for one, be getting a LinkedIn invite from me as well. So thank you.
Brilliant, awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Fantastic. Well, we will say goodbye to Tom. Now we really have closed the 60-second slot off. Moving on to our slides, we are now ready for our main event. So at this point, Ellen and I say goodbye from the screen. We hand over to Mike, who will introduce Jan? I've just merged Dan and Josh together in Jan. I'm going to invite 2 separate people called Dan and Josh to the screen to talk to us about their work at Measurable Energy. So goodbye from me and Ellen for now.
Thanks very much, Hannah. Yeah, just wait for both of you to come. Great stuff. Excellent. Thank you very much. And yeah, very much welcome to Dan and Josh. Really appreciate your time. We've read quite a bit about the product over the last year or so. So it's a real coup for us to have you along to explain more. I'm pretty sure everyone will be blown away. So I will shut up and leave it to you. I understand, obviously, we're going to be tag teaming. So I think Dan is starting and then Josh will here and then back to Dan again. So hopefully that will feel fairly seamless. But Yeah, great stuff. So yeah, thank you, Dan, and I'll leave it for you to start.
By the way, we prefer Dosh, not Jan. That's the that's the dual name we're coming up with. Cool. Well, hi everyone. Nice to be here. Nice to meet you all. I'm going to share some slides. Here we go. Cool. So yeah, hi. Nice to be here again. I'm going to say it again, and it's good to be able to tell you all about Measurable Energy, which is a company that Josh and I founded 4 years ago. We both come from a sort of academic-y sustainability and technology background, and we both were really kind of frustrated that it's what should be the most simple thing in terms of measuring energy is really kind of turned out to be the hardest thing to achieve at scale in kind of a lot of different situations that we encountered. So we set about creating a system that could somehow identify and eliminate wasted energy and wasted greenhouse gas emissions. And obviously to do that, we need to measure it. So we have an IoT and machine learning infrastructural solution that we've created and that we are using and is being used. So it's all very good. We called ourselves Measurable on purpose to get around any greenwashing type of activities, which, you know, is unfortunately really, you know, common, which is very bad. But we're big fans of proving what we're doing, and that's why we're here. So let me begin by telling you a bit about the problem that we specifically focused on. So we focus on electricity energy, very specifically through power sockets and fuse spurs, essentially anything that's kind of plugged in or wired into a building. And as I've mentioned, the big problem that we are trying to solve, most people think is a kind of a done thing, and it's a bit boring, quite honestly, and it's a bit kind of niche, but it's a real big blocker to progress being made in terms of management of electricity. That kind of, you know, obviously follows on directly to greenhouse gas emissions as well. If you can't measure the energy, it's pretty difficult to understand what the greenhouse gas emissions impacts are. And again, it's really difficult to manage that entire situation. So, you know, right now you can sort of measure electricity through smart plugs or smart sockets, and you know, you can go and buy them from B&Q, and it works really well. If you're going to do a small project, you want to measure how much your server's using, or you know, you might expand it to 15 or 20 of these smart plugs and spend a lot of time managing that, getting the data, making sure they're up and running. You can do it. There's no problems with it. But if you considered a Canary Wharf office of I don't know how many floors there are, 36 floors or something, all at once, that becomes untenable. Posters are what we sometimes think are our biggest competitor. You know, that the classic kind of, have you turned off your printer and computer? That's really good. It's a good approach. Some people take notice, but as I'm sure you're all in this group familiar, probably unfortunately the majority of people don't notice or don't care, especially in the office, which is what we're sort of focused on, commercial buildings. And again, in that same vein, it's the manual actions. You can do it. You can go and turn off your entire building, but can you constantly do that? Can you do that when energy prices are high, or you know, can you turn everything on when the carbon emissions are low, etc.? It becomes just a big issue. The second kind of problem is, again, as you're all probably very well aware, that the energy use of stuff that we use, that we plug in, is becoming more and more, from like laptops to tablets to phones to having 3 or 4 monitors, as is becoming the norm, to having printers, to having nice lighting, to having coffee machines with screens on them, All of this stuff is growing. It's not necessarily really terribly inefficient, but the fact is there is just more of it. And hybrid working is kind of making it a worse situation because things are being duplicated in different areas. It's great for working, but this kind of infrastructure is not managed. There is just nothing to manage that. We can't even tell how much it's using, really. And so that's becoming a big issue. The other side of that, of course, is that, as I'm sure we're all aware, energy prices are kind of going through the roof. And again, that's, we need some way of helping manage that situation, making it more efficient. Even if we can just drop it by a few percent, the energy use, that's going to be useful, no matter what we're thinking about. So very specifically, the thing that we focus on at Measurable is what we classify as small power. Some people would call it plug load power. Some people would call it miscellaneous electricity loads. Essentially, it's, like I said, anything that's plugged in or wired directly in to a building. And on the graph you can see, the pie chart you can see on the screen right now, sort of representative of an average UK office, and showing what elements of energy use there are. So lighting and HVAC, which is heating and air conditioning systems, use the majority. They used to use loads more, but because those systems have become loads more efficient, they have their own smart systems, they've become relatively much smaller. Then there's this thing called small power, like I mentioned, and kind of shockingly, it can use up to 40% of an entire building's energy consumption. That's quite a lot, and we've confirmed that through our own measurements, through lots of academic studies, lots of industrial studies. It's becoming quite a big deal. It's not got any management system. We can do sort of sectional power readings, so we can get a rough idea, but you can never really tell what it's doing or what's using it. The more shocking element of that is that within that small power, that blue section you can see, in some cases, half of that is wasted energy. So things left on overnight. Other classifications of waste energy for us are things that are left on during high carbon pricing times or high energy pricing times. People not coming in for the day because they're working elsewhere, they're leaving all their stuff on. There might be extra printers left on for people that aren't in the office. There are so many ways of finding this waste energy. And the simple answer is it's easy to turn off, right? You just turn it off. But we need a system to manage that, to make it more effective. And so that's what we've created, a system to solve that issue. We call it the ME platform, Measurable Energy Platform. And we'll tell you a bit more about the technical side of it now. So it's a hardware and software system that we've created from scratch. The ME power socket is a like-for-like replacement for any standard power socket or fuse spur or desk-mounted socket. Essentially, inside it has a small microprocessor computer that we've put together in there. It records power really accurately and very, very frequently across 12 different variables of power. It also has a piece of machine learning in there that identifies what's plugged in by itself and also what it's doing. And so using this data, we can send it off to our cloud. And in the cloud, we have a bit more machine learning, sort of tries to work out, is that wasted energy? Is it not wasted energy? And then using that and some user interactions, if needs be, we can then turn things off and on using our system at scale. And that's where the savings come from. The other side of this is we get instantaneous energy reporting, instantaneous carbon reporting, anomaly detections, and a whole suite of other benefits from using that system too. So on the user side, we have some software obviously to interact with the system. We have APIs into the system as well. One thing that we're really proud of having in our system is a way that building occupants can interact with our system as well. So on the socket, we have a little light, and that light displays the carbon intensity of the current grid that you're using. So whether that be the local building with solar panels or the national grid, If it's red, it's using more fossil fuels. If it's green, it's using more renewable energy. It is a gimmick for sure, but it really gets people interacting with the system and makes energy a bit more tangible to our users as well. So this is what our socket looks like. This is our new version of our sockets. You can see the light in the center there. It has buttons which can be programmed to turn things off and on if needs be. And then, as I mentioned, we have the software as well, which does a whole suite of reporting and analysis and automatically controlling fleets of power sockets, as we like to say. So I'm going to hand over to Josh now, who will introduce himself. But Josh is basically the brains behind Measurable. And the machine learning system is obviously the one thing that's really powering the entire automation side. So he's going to go into the detail of that now. So I will hand over to Josh, who I think is also having some connection problems. So please forgive.
He is, I'm afraid, Dan. I've re-invited him, but it looks like his internet is down. So I'm not sure if you're okay to keep going for now. We'll try and get him back as quick as we can.
Josh says he's still here.
Okay. Bear with me. I'm going to send him another invite.
I'll tell you what. I'll skip forward to my last bit, and then Josh can.
Oh, here we go. Here he is.
Hi everyone, can you hear me? Excellent. Sorry about that.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, if I do sort of crash out at some point, I'm hoping Dan can come in and cover for me until I can get back. So I do apologise in advance. I'm just going to share my screen 1 second. Can everyone see my screen?
Yeah,
excellent. Yeah, so as Dan mentioned before, obviously, in order to create the system at a commercial scale, what we need is a lot of data from these sockets, and we need to process that in an automated fashion. Otherwise, this just becomes another manual tool. So machine learning really is the way to do that. So I'm going to crash through our machine learning system. It's got 4 tiers. I'm going to go as quickly as possible. I really need like 2 or 3 hours, but I'm going to try and do it in 5 minutes. And then any questions to follow up afterwards, I'm happy to take those. So we've got a 4-tiered system. So tier 1 machine learning is to automatically identify the device you've plugged into a socket. So you don't have to tell the system, it can detect it automatically. And this gives you essentially an asset registry of your whole building, telling you what's plugged in and where, and enables basic interventions to be made. Tier 2 is enhancing this with contextual information. So that's information that we don't gather firsthand. So this is building information, other temperatures, sensors, third-party information that may be available. And this sort of helps us understand what it is the behaviors of your building do that affect small power and vice versa. Tier 3, just sort of the beating heart of the measurable energy system, is where we use the previous 2 tiers to automatically cut wasted energy across the building. So we don't just detect it, we also then turn it off, so that we don't give you a report saying this is what we recommend you do. We automatically implement those changes for savings. And tier 4 is our specialized machine learning use cases, such as preventative maintenance and anomaly detection. And I'll go through all of these now. So in tier 1, we essentially take data from each power socket in terms of measurement of energy very frequently and very accurately. And we create digital signatures. So for example, this is a Dell monitor. So we actually don't just take the power usage. We take active, reactive, apparent power, current, power factor, voltage, frequency. We measure it all at about 20 hertz. So it's much faster than anything sort of smart meter you might see at home. And this gives us what you see on screen now, which is like a digital fingerprint, if you like. And these are all unique to different types of devices. So we can see what's plugged in. And we use machine learning to identify devices from each other. So an example here would be a desk lamp looks like the one you see above, and a phone charger looks like what you see below. You can clearly see there's a difference there. So this is what's kind of happening under the hood of power monitoring, so to speak, at this speed. So we can actually run this machine learning model that detects what's plugged in on the socket itself. This is edge computing. So we run the socket can detect what's plugged in without any connection to a central hub, but we also send this information back to the cloud. What this does is it immediately transforms sort of all this raw data that we're gathering into something tangible and useful, like an asset registry. So it can immediately tell you how many laptops or monitors or heaters you have plugged in, and the associated cost in terms of energy or emissions or price for each one of these groups. It also allows flexible control over these devices. So you can, excuse me, you can block certain types of devices. If you wanted to ban heaters under the desk, for example, we could detect a heater and turn it off. And what it does is allows a company to transform what they have at the moment, which is, say, on the screen here, you can see this is the current state of the art, where you just get one number, which tells you how much energy you're using. And with our system, just with tier 1, it transforms that into this. So it shows you a breakdown of where the energy is being used, both in terms of what devices are consuming that energy, and also where inside your building that energy is being used. This can enable you to make simple interventions, and it just gives you access to information that can allow you to understand your power usage better. So we move on to tier 2. Tier 2 is very simple. We simply gather information that already exists in the building. So this could be temperature sensors, occupancy sensors, building information data that already exists. We can also gather other information such as calendar information or security information from like a check-in point, or where people have to swipe cards to enter a building. So we gather all this information and we feed it back into our models so we can understand the context of the building. Tier 3, and this is really the core of the whole system, is tier 3, is we take the information that we learned from tiers 1 and 2 to perform automated energy reduction. So what we do is we combine the socket data with historical energy use pattern of data, and we determine what is normal for your office building. And then we can essentially provide windows where we turn everything off. So we can say, right, so usually in office space, evenings and weekends are obviously an obvious space to start with, because people typically aren't at work at evenings and weekends, so we can start there. But it also allows us to see the working patterns of the individuals in the building and create tailored individual patterns for individual sockets for your desk, for example. So we can use what we learned in tier 2 as well to create some automatic rules. So for example, if no one is detected in a room, we can turn off all the non-essential appliances automatically. If a calendar shows that a meeting room wasn't scheduled or is currently empty, we can turn off all the non-essential appliances. And more specific cases, for example, if you didn't swipe your security card in downstairs in the morning, then it can basically not turn your desk on for that day, because your desk doesn't need to be on if you're not there. The same also works when you leave at night. If you've left the building and left something on your desk, we can turn it off automatically. So what this does for our demonstration is it transforms the situation we had before, where again, we've broken down your bill into showing you where you're spending your money, and it automatically creates energy reductions. So this is what you'd see after the implementation of a measurable system. So it shows you what was there before, what was there after, and where we made the savings automatically. And obviously this leads to a significant reduction in energy. So moving on to tier 4. Tier 4 is specific use cases. So for example, preventative maintenance, which is obviously done quite a lot at the moment for large plant equipment. We can potentially scale that down to any device on our network. So if you think about a vending machine, which has got a bearing which is on its way out, we can see the power profile of that vending machine is deviating from normal. We can flag that up to necessary maintenance people who can go in there and swap it out before it either becomes a failure that is very costly or very dangerous. And obviously we can now automatically deploy this across all of your assets, as opposed to specific use cases like large plant equipment that may have preventative maintenance already. We can also do security anomaly detection. So at the moment, if the building is supposed to be empty and the system detects that someone's turned on a computer on the 3rd floor when there shouldn't be anyone there, the system can be programmed to flag that up to the necessary security people so they can go and investigate. It also gives you sort of access to a new pattern of data to sort of demonstrate occupancy, because obviously occupancy is linked to small power, because the number of people using devices is, those two things are, they correlate. So again, with our demonstration example here, this is before the system, you have nothing, and then after the system, it can flag up a preventative maintenance alert. And we can also use other specialized algorithms. Now we have access to all this information. So for example, what we can do is we can optimize the charge discharge cycle of all of your laptops in your building to optimize for cheaper energy or greener energy. So we can turn off all your laptops when the energy gets dirty on the network, but when the energy gets green and clean again, we can charge them back up again. So no noticeable change in energy use for your laptop. The users don't see it happening, but the system is automatically optimizing your emissions. So yeah, that's the system. So using these 4 tiers, we combine them together, and we take all this raw data from our hardware and we convert it into tangible and measurable reductions in energy, which can relate immediately back to cost savings and ultimately saving the world. So yeah, that's me. I'm going to hand it back to Dan now, so he can send us off with some use cases and a sign off. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thanks, Josh. So I'm going to reshare my screen, which I think is already sharing. Is that right? Perfect. Thank you. So yeah, just some final thoughts and slides. I wanted to kind of show you what we really show our customers, and that's really, you know, what does it do for them. So here's an example of a 2,000 occupant office building. The graph you can see there is showing you how much they will pay in pounds for their energy consumption every year. So on the left-hand side, we're looking at, you know, just over £200,000 on electricity for small power before the ME platform. And then on the right-hand side, you can see what we do to reduce the energy and the energy costs and the greenhouse gas emissions from that. So there are kind of four main mechanisms we use. So one, and the biggest one at 29%, is the reduction in eliminating the wasted energy. So that's turning things off when they shouldn't be on, turning things off during high energy pricing, etc. The second point, which we haven't really touched on too much, but we also operate what's called a demand side response system, DSR system. And that's a way for the national grid in the UK to essentially take control of some non-essential things in our system to effectively balance the supply and demand of electricity on the entire grid. The national grid will pay users for using their equipment and their power using stuff both ways. It can be turning things on when there's too much energy and turning things off when there's not enough energy. And it's a brilliant way of encouraging the use of renewable energy. Bizarrely, sometimes you've got to turn stuff on if it's windy and sunny. There's going to be loads of energy. Battery storage is good for that, but we don't have an entire country of battery storage, so it's a great way of getting in touch. The other two mechanisms are less quantifiable, but really important. So one aspect is the reduction in time that's required for a person to go around and make a carbon footprint of checking what's going on with the printer that doesn't seem to be working, with trying to find out what's turned on, why is the energy so high. So obviously with our system, that's completely sort of automated. And then there are other sides of this as well, which is the whole reduction in potential risks from equipment not functioning properly, whether that be them potentially exploding in the worst case, or just not working and disrupting business operations on the other side. So lots of different benefits there. Just a few of examples of this working, in case you think it's just too good to be true, which is something we get quite a lot. These are some measured success stories. These are some of our current customers that we have deployments with. I think Kia Group is the best looking one there. So we were installed at Kia's construction sites within their cabins that they have. Those cabins are fully electrified. There's no other energy using stuff there. Also, all of their heating and all of their air conditioning systems are powered through fuse spurs. So It's not a smart way of managing a building, but we were able to reduce their wintertime electricity by 60%. So that's amazing. But the other kind of three you can see there are standard office-based situations. So we're ranging from 24 to 42% reductions in energy, and similarly with emissions as well. So it's a proven tech and it's working, which is very good. And a little bit about our future. So we are a startup. We received our sort of first seed funding last year, and we're just about to use that seed funding to publicly launch within the next few weeks. So we have lots of power sockets. We've got 10,000 on order at the moment that are just about to arrive. They're going out to signed up commercial customers right now. And our job is to continue that deployment across the UK, also into mainland Europe, and basically reduce the energy consumption of these commercial buildings and make sure that there's a tangible, measured impact happening here. So yeah, if you're interested, if you want to know more, feel free to contact me or Josh or any of the team. The website's nice and easy. It is measurable.energy, so you can go and have a look at that, or find us on LinkedIn. We'll be there. But yeah, happy to answer any questions.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Dan and Josh. That was absolutely brilliant. I'm sure everyone will agree. So many amazing features and benefits of that system. So yeah, can we have a round of applause in the comments for Dan and Josh? Any plug sockets, power, emojis, it's always good. Yeah, absolutely brilliant stuff. And yeah, we look forward to seeing how you guys get on in the future. Yeah, lots of positive comments throughout your talks, which you wouldn't have seen, but yeah, fantastic stuff. So thank you for that. Cool. We have got quite a few questions, which is great. So I'll just crack on. And I guess just let me know which one of you fancies answering them. Maybe one of you is going to get the trickier ones, but who knows. So yeah, we'll start with a question from David Ascott. Will you consider the housing market?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely we will. We're starting with commercial sector for scale to help us business wise. But yeah, there's I mean, they're in Josh and I's house, and they're in our team's house as well. So yes, is the short answer. In probably next year at some point.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you for that. That's quite exciting. I'd love to get that in my house as well. Cool. So a question from Neil. There's actually two here, so I'll do the first part to start with. This is bloody excellent, which I think we'll all agree with. Have you had? Oh, it's moved. Hang on. Sorry. Have you had any thoughts about open sourcing or publishing usage and wastage data anonymously for others to learn from?
Good question. It's, to be honest with you, it's the way we're functioning as a business right now to have that data for us. So not yet. I think the way we're operating is to enable a payback to our users. So anyone that uses the system, you know, we're not saying it's going to cost you more money to use the system. We're essentially giving you money back from the use of that data. So for now, we're going to keep it to ourselves. But you know, it's a never say never situation, I think. But we'll see how it goes in the future.
Perfect. Thanks for that question, Neil. So next question is from Luke. Excellent idea and implementation. From a technical standpoint, how do you deal with extension leads which have arbitrary electrical loads, brackets different number types of devices?
Yeah, so it's a good question. We call this a disaggregation problem. So we're covering it. We're tackling it in two ways. It does pose an issue for our machine learning systems. So the first way we do it is by spreading the technology wider. So ideally, every socket should have a measurable energy measuring device inside it. So we are expanding the range to include extension leads to essentially bypass this problem. But secondarily to that, the machine learning team here is working on disaggregating devices from a cumulative load on a single socket. So it can be done. It's just not being tried. It's not been tried like this before. So we are trying to lead the way in that sense of being able to disaggregate on a small scale what's plugged into an extension lead. Now, it does depend on what's plugged in. So some things are easier. So for example, a phone charger and a heater are very easy to disaggregate from each other. But like 4 different phone chargers at the same time poses a bit more of a problem. So ultimately, the worst case scenario is that we tell you we're not sure what this device is, but we can still tell you exactly how much energy it's using. So ultimately, we still cover the baseline, which is to be measurable. So at least we can measure it and tell you.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. Good question, Luke. So next question is from Andrew Brenwald. Curious about the efficiencies of your own tech in regards to its carbon footprint. Have you given any thought to issues such as exclusive cloud computing usage or data transfer frequency?
Want to take that, Josh?
I'm not sure if I understand the last part of the question. Sorry.
I'll go through that again. So have you given any thought to issues such as excessive cloud computing usage or data transfer frequency?
Ultimately, there are 2 ways of tackling this. The first one is we use our background is with our back end is based in GCP, so it's a carbon neutral system, and they have a very low power usage effectiveness. So it's as green as it can be for a back end in terms of the cloud computing. And the idea of machine learning as well is that as the system gets more data, the less data we actually need to transfer between the sockets and home. So we transfer a lot of data from a socket to the cloud. The cloud can then process this data, generate some sort of useful value, and send that data back. But as the system develops and the machine learning model increases in its scope, we can condense that model down and put it onto the socket itself. So the socket doesn't need to transfer all the data back, it just needs to transfer the output of the machine learning model back. So rather than sending back, a couple of hundred values that we then say, oh, that's a laptop, we can basically just send back, this is a laptop. So as the system gets smarter, it actually uses less and less energy as we go less and less data as we go forward. But yeah, we have considered that, and the impacts of that are folded into our models. As Dan will tell you, he is a renowned specialist in sort of understanding the carbon impact of cloud computing systems.
Brilliant, great stuff. Thank you for that. I think we've done some talks on that before as well. If anyone wants to check that topic out on our website, great stuff. Got a question from Michael McAndrew. I think part of this may have been answered already, but do you monitor at any other levels apart from sockets, for example, distribution boards?
Yeah, well, we don't actually monitor distribution boards, and the reason we don't do it is because if you were to aggregate all of the sockets or all of the electrical devices on distribution board, it would give you the same answer as it would at the distribution board itself. So we don't actually get any more information from monitoring the distribution board. Some other companies, they do just do all the monitoring at the distribution board end. What it does tell you is how much energy that distribution board is using, but it can't do any more than that. It can't tell you where the energy was being spent, on what devices, and more importantly, it doesn't have any control aspects to it. So we have always considered adding some level of measurement to distribution boards. We are waiting for a use case that actually adds value to our system as opposed to just duplicating the results we have already.
Great stuff. Thank you for that one. Next question is from Luke again. How much does an ME socket cost to manufacture?
It costs us to sell an ME socket £22.50 right now. We're hoping to get that right down as well. So, I mean, if you know how much it is to buy a smart socket today, that's actually below the kind of cost you can get. So, it's pretty good value. We also have a software subscription cost on top of that, and that kind of it depends on the the size of the deployment and what exact services are being taken. But it's designed to pay back the customer within 1 to 2 years, so it's a pretty frugal pricing model.
Brilliant. Question from Neil Clark. I know it's not all about money, but what kind of payback period did Kia and Yugo get?
Kia got something like 3 months payback because we managed to cut that down so much. And I can't remember what Yugo got. I think it was something like 12 to 18 months.
Brilliant. That's really good, isn't it? Cool. Got a question from Michael McAndrew. What is the power consumption of the smart sockets?
So the smart sockets, they peak at power consumption at 0.3 watts, but the average consumption is substantially less than 0.1 watts. And obviously the added consumption of installing 1,000 odd power sockets that uses energy into a building is folded into our models. So we don't disregard that energy. We include that So you add a bit to add measurable sockets, but the savings obviously massively compensate for the added energy. So they do use a very minimal amount of energy.
Brilliant, thank you for that. Cool, and final question for now, unless anyone would like to top questions up, and we have got a couple of minutes, is from Art. So I already have smart meters in many places. Will I be able to use your API with things like Home Assistant or Node Red?
Yep, we do have an API that can be linked to whatever you want, hence the name API. Yeah, so yeah, the whole system does come with an API. We understand the importance of interfacing our system to existing systems to allow you to merge all your energies together and all your control mechanisms together.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much for that. So yeah, nine questions well answered. So yeah, thank you very much, and hope that wasn't too taxing. But yeah, some really great comments in the feed as you were answering them. There is one more coming through actually. So again, from David Arscott, could smart cards be held on mobiles to allow access?
Yes, essentially. If I understand it correctly, we have a concept called tap for power. I can't remember. I did drop out for a bit. I'm not sure if Dan mentioned it. So we have something called tap for power on the sockets, where we have an NFC tag inside the sockets, so you can tap it with your phone, and it allows you to access all the data from the socket, and also in some models, unlock the socket, turn it on. So think of a public space, for example. You could have like some credits that you could use to spend on energy, and then so you just tap your phone to the socket, and it will release that information to you or connect you to the socket. And it also allows us to help sort of track energy usage to individual people, which can be a useful asset as well in terms of the data. If that's what you meant by smart card on a phone. Yes.
Hopefully that answers that question well. So yeah, got a thumbs up there. So brilliant stuff. Thank you everyone, and thank you as I think Hannah or Ellen in the comments have said, thank you for all the amazing questions. I think there is another one that's crept through. Have we got time, Hannah? Give me a thumbs up. No, it's iffy. We'll come back to you on that one. We'll get an email over to Dan and Josh, and we'll put that in the roundup when we write that up. So yeah, I will get out of the way, but just to say thank you very much. I'm sure Hannah will say the same. Absolutely incredible stuff. And yeah, very best of luck to you going forward.
Yeah, thanks for having us, everyone.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys.
It's an absolute pleasure to be able to showcase your work at Green Tech Southwest, Dan and Josh. And the response in the comments has been really, really great. I don't know if you've been able to keep kind of pace as everyone's been chatting and as you've been talking, but there's a lot of excitement for your work. So keep us posted, Green Tech Southwest, tag us into things. We're happy to reshare and keep signposting the awesome stuff that you do. And Josh, your internet basically did hold out for your speaking part, so that was bloody lucky, wasn't it?
Yeah, it won't work for the rest of the day now.
No,
So
it won't.
Spend all my for the time being. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much again. Thank you for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed your experience of speaking today. We're going to say goodbye to Dan and Josh now. So thank you again. And my role now is to wrap up the event and to bookend and to signpost you all to some hopefully interesting resources and interesting things going on. All right. So we had Dan and Josh talk to us. So yes, and now moving on to some upcoming events of interest. Green Tech Southwest is a community of people who are interested in taking climate action all the time, not just at events or around events. So we wanted to showcase some cool things. Two massive networks, if you're not aware of them and you're into this stuff, that are always hosting events and always have loads going on, are Climate Action Tech at the top, fondly known as CAT. Nearly 6,500 tech workers now, and it's an absolute wealth of information and a wealth of fantastic, awesome people hanging around in CAT, and that's free to join. For those of you that are in business and looking for green business networks, Future Leap Network, which is based in Bristol, also have loads of really, really good events, and we would highly recommend checking out their website and becoming a member if you're interested in this kind of stuff. A couple of other events not tied to Cat or Fen. Mike and Ellen have been, for the last 2 years, giving their free time to be on the steering group for a new exhibition that's just popped up in the M Shed in Bristol. So if you're anywhere near the waterfront up until the 30th of October, do pop in. It's on the top floor. As you go in, it's free to visit, and it's an exhibition called Think Global, Act Bristol. And we're featured in it, which is it's kind of like completely bonkers and completely crazy. So go into the exhibition and see if you can find us, and tweet us or send us your pictures when you find us there. We are very, very chuffed and excited to be featured as part of that exhibition. And well done to Mike and Ellen for all the effort that they've been putting in around that behind the scenes. For those of you that are perhaps more London-based, if data is your thing, do check out the SUBAC Climate Summit happening the 4th and 5th of October. They're an organisation really worth looking at. They are also specialising in open source climate data. They also have a climate catalogue. So if you're interested in finding out more about that, let me know. I'm happy to signpost you. Now, I don't know if you can see all this. We have been like, oh my word, so busy over the last few months organising all of our events. Now, forgive us, we haven't managed to get them out on Meetup yet. We are still waiting for various details from our speakers, but we really wanted to tell you about our dates, and hopefully you'll be able to get those in your calendars. So our next hybrid event, which is you can come and join us in person at the Engine Shed in Bristol, or join us online, will be September the 21st. That will be in the evening. We've got 2 amazing speakers lined up. John Gibbons, who will be talking about the interrelations of sustainability and accessibility, which I think will be fascinating. And we're still waiting on confirmation of the details, that Jamie Thompson, who is head of engineering at Kaluza, will also give us a talk. October will be back online only, and we are having a design themed event. So we've got 2 incredible speakers. Aston Khan, who's been helping us with the branding behind the scenes, will be giving a talk, as will James Chudley, who will also be talking about nature-inspired design. So keep that one in your diaries. December the 1st, we'll be back to hybrid, again, Engine Shed or online. And I don't know if you can see the date at the very bottom. It is January the 26th. And we are super chuffed to have Sarah Bergman, who is from Microsoft, talking to us about green software engineering. So we've got a fantastic lineup. We're always keen to hear from people that would like to come and speak at Green Tech Southwest, or suggestions. So do give us your feedback. Do tell us what might be interesting to you. Tell us what you've enjoyed. Myself, Mike and Ellen do all of this in our free time as volunteers. So your feedback's really important to us. Not just, that you enjoyed it, and we really love to hear that. So do tell us if you enjoyed it, because it keeps us going. But we're also keen to hear suggestions on how you think we can make these events better. And for those of you that joined our hybrid event online in June, we had quite a lot of feedback around a few things that we could do better there. So thank you so much to those people that took the time to, say how their experience was and how we could do things better. We're doing our best to take all of that on board for September, and we'll make the online experience for our next hybrid event the best it can possibly be. So, folks, we're like, oh my gosh, we finished basically on time, which is, amazing. So thank you so much, all of you, for being a part of our community today. We really appreciate that you come to these events, that you take part, that you introduce yourselves, that you do the 60-second intros, you ask the questions, you give the feedback. Your participation is what makes this community the enjoyable space that it is. So go well. Hope to see you again soon at some of our forthcoming events. Keep an eye on Meetup for those events coming out. Tell your friends, and let's get climate active, folks. So great. Enjoy the rest of your day and take care, everyone. Thanks again for joining us. Bye for now.